Hello everybody, my name is Braylon. I'm doing a presentation on the risks of co-sleeping and also the rewards and how to make co-sleeping less risk involved. There's definitely safer ways that you can get the benefits of the co-sleeping. So with a show of hands, how many of you have co-slept with your children or plan to co-sleep with your children in the future?
Take it.
All right.
Take it, Mom.
So by the end of this, I'm going to ask you again and see if you maybe would have changed your thoughts or if you still would have stuck to what your plan was. Okay, so the risks are SIDS, which is sudden infant death syndrome. And a lot of cases, they cannot figure out why it's happened, why a child has died in their sleep, whether it be suffocating or just sudden breathing issues. Suffocating while the baby is in the bed with you or even in a crib with heavy blankets or pillows, stuffed animals, there's a risk of the baby suffocating in its sleep. Overheating. Lots of times babies have trouble regulating their temperature. So there's a high risk of babies overheating or while they're sleeping. Falling, whether the baby's mobile or not, the risk of falling is possible. They can either roll or if they're sleeping in the bed with you, you may push them off the bed, not realizing it as you're sleeping. Being crushed. There's lots of cases where babies fall asleep with you and can be crushed between the bed and the wall or within cushions when they're on mattress or on couches with you. Being harmed by falling or flailing limbs. Lots of times people move when they're sleeping and they can be a little more active and just by swinging their elbow could possibly hurt the child. So very high risks, very awful things that could happen while they're sleeping, but there are ways to prevent it, and I will speak of that soon. Reasons to co-sleep, to me, it seems like they have a lot more beneficial reasons, so we'll find out if that kind of outweighs the risk. Breathing regulations. Babies take 20 seconds in between their breaths when they're first born because they have trouble regulating their breathing. Now, when they sleep with their parents, they tend to pick up on the rhythmic pattern of their parent. So it can actually be very beneficial for them to be close to their parent. Pacifying, when your child wakes up in the middle of the night and either needs to be fed or is just uncomfortable. It's a lot easier to pacify your child when they're in the same room with you or in the same bed with you. It helps prevent them from waking up fully, and it's just easier to get them to fall back to sleep. Comfort. Children are very comfort when they can feel the warmth and the heartbeat of their parent. It's very soothing for them, and the closeness makes them feel very comfortable and safe. Happy bedtimes. When the baby sleeps with their parents, they don't associate bedtime with punishment. They associate it with good times, and they're less likely to fight you to fall asleep. They want to be, they don't associate it with bad times. Healthy hearts. Again, so healthy hearts, the heart picks up on your heart rate, and it, excuse me, will pick up the rhythm of your heart, and also, it's calming again for them to be in the bed with you or be close to you, so they are less likely to have a high heart rate while sleeping. Bonding, of course, being close to your child, the smells and the feelings, but also for working parents, they don't get to spend a lot of time with their children. So sometimes bedtime is the only time that they can spend with their children, and that's a great way for them to bond with their child. Sweeter mornings. Of course, waking up to a smiling baby as opposed to a crying baby is way nicer for everybody. Respiration facilitation. Again, this has to do with the parent being in close encounters. The carbon dioxide that you breathe out actually helps the baby to regulate their breath. It tells them they need to take a deeper breath. So, believe it or not, that carbon dioxide is helpful for them. Independence. A lot of people say that children that sleep with their parents are not independent and needy, but really what it does is it gives them confidence, and you can meet their needs. So when they get older, they're a little more independent, and they don't feel like they have to strive for your attention as much. Protective. Now, when a baby is in a separate room, there are still risks of SIDS. And a lot of it is they can have an asthma attack. They can choke on their saliva or their spit up. And if they're in another room, can't always hear them or get to them in time to actually save them from that situation. So there is always still that risk of SIDS, whether in the room or not. And it's just easier to be able to cater to them as they need when you can hear them when they're close by. Less anxiety, of course, for both parent and child. There's less anxiety knowing that the baby is close and you can get to them when you need to. Temperature regulation, I believe I already touched a little bit on that. Now, when the baby sleeps with you, your body actually helps regulate their temperature. So if it's too hot, your body will actually cool them down. And breastfeeding, it's so much easier for a woman that's breastfeeding to not have to get up and warm a bottle or get up and go to a woken baby, a fully woken baby, and then try to breastfeed. And then lots of times what happens is the tired mother from getting up constantly will fall asleep in the chair that they're breastfeeding their child. And a lot of accidents can occur in that situation, dropping the baby because they think that they're in their bed and they're not familiar with their surroundings. So there's many cases where, again, breastfeeding in the bed or with the baby near you is a lot better. Of course, it's free, so you don't have to buy the extra crib or bassinet for your bedroom if the baby sleeps on the same sleep surface. Of course, if you don't feel comfortable with the baby sleeping on the same sleep surface, it is definitely beneficial to buy an extra bed to have set aside. It's also, of course, safer. Fire safety. If there's ever a fire in the house, some things that people might not think of right off is it's a lot easier to know where your baby is and in an emergency situation like that, and to get them out of the threat a lot faster. So now that we know the risks and the benefits, one thing that I do want to point out is right here, there's studies that say that there's a better chance of getting struck by lightning or getting into a car accident and dying or drowning before the age of 18 than there is for a low-risk baby to die from sleeping in the same co-sleeping. So, I mean, the chances, we still go out in storms, we still drive our cars, we still want our babies and our kids to learn how to swim. So we don't avoid those risks, and I don't believe that, personally, my opinion, that if you feel comfortable, you should have to avoid sleeping or sleeping with your child. Now, with a high-risk baby, it's a lot riskier, and high-risk children are babies that are born with defects, whether it be some kind of lung defect, heart defect. Those babies should definitely not be sleeping in the same sleep surface as you. They need extra care and consideration. Okay, so ways to make co-sleeping safer. We have a few tips. So don't drink or use illegal substances. A lot of the cases with infants dying while co-sleeping are parents that have consumed alcohol, are on medication that makes them drowsy. Also, they are smokers. The smoke in or around the baby's area can cause SIDS. So also, do not co-sleep on couches. Obviously, the surface area is not wide enough for the two of you, and they can get smushed between the cushions and also fall off the bed or couch. Excuse me. Pull back long hair. These are things that maybe you wouldn't have thought of. The long hair can get tangled around the baby's neck. The baby can also breathe the hair in and suffocate on the hair. Make sure both parents are on board with the co-sleeping and are aware where the baby is at all times. Don't co-sleep with older kids. They're less likely to be aware of the baby, even if they know they're there when they fall asleep. They tend to move around and be more active in their sleep. Consider a co-sleeper. Right here is an option for a co-sleeper, and basically it's just a smaller version of a bassinet that you can keep in the bed with you and keep the baby surrounded from any obstacle or objects harming the baby. Keeps them nice and snug. Also, we have the bedside sleeper. So it's like a bassinet, and keeps the baby close enough so that you can hear the baby, but also keeps it separate from the bed, so you don't have to worry about rolling over on the baby. 11 tips for co-sleeping as well are, again, family decisions. Baby should always be placed on their back. When they're on their back, they have a direct route for the oxygen to go to the lungs, and they will not roll over and suffocate in the blankets and stuff their face into the mattresses. Secure surroundings. So make sure there's no obstacles that can affect the baby. No smoking and drinking again. Cool surroundings. Dress baby well. Don't dress the baby in little cute outfits that have danglies that they could possibly rip off and choke on. Timely feeds, keeping a baby on a nice schedule will keep them always prepared and ready. Bigger bed. So again, if you're co-sleeping in the bed, you want a bigger bed with a firm surface, so the baby doesn't get too smushed in the cushions. Ideal C position. So when you're sleeping with your baby, the best position is for the mother to be in a C position. So they're almost causing a dome effect for the baby. You're protecting their heads and making sure that they don't move around as much. And that's essential for breastfeeding as well. So it's a great position. So some things that really stand out for me are the firm mattress. A lot of times right now, mattresses, we all buy our mattresses very comfy and soft, and mattresses nowadays are not meant for a baby to be co-slept with. You want a firm mattress. And back even 200,000 years ago, babies were sleeping with their parents, except for back then, they were not sleeping on a nice comfy mattress. They were sleeping on the ground or on the floor of some sort of hard surface. It was a way for them to be close to their baby and protect their baby from any harmful animals even back then, or just keeping their baby warm at night. And so I mean, co-sleeping has been around and has been a way of living for a long time. And I believe babies have just adapted to that environment, knowing how to breathe with the carbon dioxide and just the regulating of the bodies. I think it's very important to have that closeness. But again, if your baby is high risk for SIDS, meaning it was born with lung defects and heart defects, then you don't want to do this and then sleep in the same bed. But also, if you're a heavy sleeper and speaking of baby, thank you, if you know you're a heavy sleeper and you know yourself, you know that it's not a safe environment, then try the other alternatives. Do the bedside co-sleeper. Do the little snuggie sleeper for the bed. There are other ways to get that kind of closeness. Okay, so that is all I have for you today. So, would you change your mind about co-sleeping now that you know the risks? Or would you change your outlook and maybe try different ways of co-sleeping and use other objects make them close to you as well? Raise a hand. Who would still co-sleep with their children? All right. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the presentation, and I hope that I enlightened you a little bit and feel safer about sleeping with your child.